His dad died young, and his mom would often bring gang members home to hook up. To get away from her and her affairs, he'd always go hit the bar with his friends. But today, him and his buddies ran right into one of his mom's gangster boyfriend's henchmen at the bar. And pretty soon, a fight broke out between them. He got chased out of the bar by those thugs. And the beer he just bought went to waste. But this kid named Eggsy isn't your average troublemaker. He swiped the thugs' car keys and started messing things up big time. By the time the thugs heard the engine and ran outside, all they could see was their car spinning in place, tires squealing and smoking like crazy. The thugs watched in fury as Eggsy drove off. They quickly called their boss to report what happened, but what they didn't expect was that the little punk who'd already gotten away would actually drive the car back. Turns out the car had already caught the cops' attention. Luckily, Eggsy had some insane driving talent and left the police far behind. He was about to make a clean getaway when a cat suddenly ran into the middle of the road. Eggsy swerved to avoid the cat and crashed into a parked car. The cops were closing in. Eggsy told his friends to get out and stayed behind to take the blame. At the police station, the chief said he was looking at least 15 months in jail. To avoid doing time, after the chief left, Eggsy took off a necklace from around his neck. This necklace was a keepsake from his dad's war buddy. 17 years ago, his dad died saving that buddy, Harry. To repay the favor, Harry tracked down Eggsy's mom and gave her the necklace, telling her to call the number on the back if they ever needed help. Eggsy made that call and was released almost immediately. On his way out, he saw Harry standing there by the door, looking sharp. Now Harry works at a tailor shop called Kingsman. He'd checked out Eggsy's file and thought the kid had potential. He just lacked proper guidance. The two went to a bar to chat, and that is when a group of thugs showed up looking for Eggsy. Harry didn't want any part of it at first, until one of the thugs laughed at him. Harry decided to teach them a lesson.
Manners maketh man.
He looked like a gentleman, but his moves were ridiculously good. The umbrella in his hand could not only block rain, but also zap people with electricity. It didn't take long before all the punks were down on the ground. Eggsy just stood there in shock, but after dealing with them, Harry pointed a poison needle at Eggsy from his ring.
Is that a promise?
On my life.
Harry let him go. He was just messing with the kid after they parted ways. Eggsy went home, but he got beat up by his mom's gangster boyfriend. That jerk even pulled a knife and held it to Eggsy's neck, demanding to know where Harry was. Eggsy didn't spill anything, but then all of a sudden Harry's voice echoed through the room.
I have enough evidence on your activities to have you locked up for the rest of your life, Mr. Dean Anthony Baker.
Turns out Harry had planted a bug on Eggsy's shoulder and heard everything. The guy was also freaked out by the sudden voice and didn't dare move. Harry told Eggsy to run and head to that shop he mentioned earlier. Eggsy jumped out the window to escape the other thugs chasing him and made his way to the oldest tailor shop in England. Once he got to the meeting spot, Harry led him into a dressing room. After scanning his fingerprint on the mirror, the changing room turned into an elevator. It started going down, and Harry began explaining the secret organization to Eggsy. This tailor shop was founded in 1919, not controlled by the government, and aimed to take down evil forces. The headquarters were thousands of meters underground. Harry brought Eggsy to meet Merlin, a bald training instructor. They were recruiting new members a few days earlier. A Kingsman agent was rescuing a meteorologist in the mountains when a female assassin with blades on her legs sliced him in half. That assassin works for Valentine, the world's #1 tech genius. Valentine is the richest man on the planet, but deep down he is hiding an evil plan to pull it off. He even invited a European princess, but when she heard about his plan, she wanted to leave. Too bad she was already on his turf. Valentine quickly took away her freedom. Even though the princess had some tough bodyguards, the assassin Gazelle took them all out. Back to Eggsy. Since Kingsman lost an agent, the organization needed to pick a new one. A lot of people wanted in, including many from Oxford and Cambridge. Eggsy got laughed at by those Ivy League types because he dressed like a homeless guy.
Oh, wait, I think we may have met. Did you serve me at the McDonald's in Winchester service station?
But he didn't care. He was confident he'd be the last one standing. On the first night, the candidates were sleeping in a room when the water level suddenly started rising. Soon it went over everyone's heads to survive. The recruits dove down to bathtubs on the floor and breathed through the shower heads. Eggsy swam to the door but couldn't open it, so he started punching the glass instead. When it finally broke, all the water rushed out and swept everyone away. They were saved, but one girl unfortunately drowned. Merlin said that was just the first test. That is when Eggsy realized how brutal the training would be. Meanwhile, Harry found the meteorologist that his fallen comrade had saved earlier and captured him.
Tell me who kidnapped you and why they let you go.
I have no idea what to talk.
Harry wanted to question him, but then something crazy happened.
Like I barely touched you.
Oh man.
The meteorologist's head suddenly exploded. More assassins stormed the room. Seeing this, Harry planted a bomb and jumped out the window. Right as he flew out, a massive explosion went off behind him. Harry was taken back to headquarters for treatment. When Eggsy found out, he was really worried and went to see Harry, but Merlin told him to focus on training. Back at the training ground, Merlin had everyone pick a dog as a partner. Eggsy picked a lazy, scared little pug, while others ran with their dogs. His just stood there.
Jamie, I'll shoot you, goddamn it, I'll fucking shoot you.
So he had to carry it. Time flew by, and Eggsy visited Harry, who had recovered. Harry noticed a chip on the meteorologist's neck. That is what made his head blow up. Tech genius Valentine was the mastermind behind it all. Meanwhile, the infamous villain was hosting a press conference, telling the world he'd give away free phone chips that would let everyone go online and call for free. But it was all part of a massive scheme. Everyone working for Valentine had a chip implanted in their neck. This might be Valentine's chance to control the whole world, but that was just speculation for now. To find out what was really going on, they'd have to dig deeper. Meanwhile, training was coming to an end. Only 3 people made it through: Eggsy, a tall guy named Charlie, and a pretty trainee named Roxy. They were given a mission: get close to a girl and extract key information from her. All 3 tried to chat her up, but they all failed. After a waiter called the girl away, they were knocked out. When Eggsy woke up, he found himself tied to train tracks with the train approaching fast. The waiter demanded he reveal info about Harry, but Eggsy still didn't say a word.
Hey, Eggsy! Is Kingsman worth dying for?
The train zoomed past, but he didn't die. It was a loyalty test. Both Eggsy and Roxy passed. Charlie failed. In the end, Eggsy and Roxy were chosen. Harry took him to pick out gear: Oxford shoes with a poisoned toe needle, a pistol, a poison-filled pen, and a ring that could shock people. Right after they picked their gear, they opened a door and ran right into tech genius Valentine himself. They exchanged some polite but tense words. Later, Eggsy was taken to meet the leader, Arthur. Arthur complimented him on raising his dog well, but before Eggsy could feel good about it, Arthur pulled out a gun and ordered Eggsy to kill his own dog. It was an impossible choice. Eggsy hesitated for a long time, but in the end he couldn't do it, so he voluntarily gave up his chance. A gunshot came from the next room. That meant Roxy had officially become a Kingsman agent. After failing, Eggsy got kicked out of headquarters. He didn't become a Kingsman agent like Harry, but he got to keep his dog, which he felt was worth it. He went home, put his hoodie back on, and his mom gave him a big hug. But then he noticed bruises around her eyes. No surprise, her jerk boyfriend did it. Eggsy decided to go after that thug. He found him and was about to teach him a lesson when the car doors suddenly locked and the car started moving. Harry had taken control remotely and sent Eggsy home. Soon they stood together and talked. Harry was disappointed in Eggsy's choice.
You shot your dog and had it stuffed. You fucking freak.
He told Eggsy the gun wasn't even loaded. It was all a test of loyalty. While they were arguing, Merlin called with news. Valentine was going to test his chips in a church. If it worked, Valentine would roll out his plan worldwide. Harry decided to check out the church and told Eggsy to stay put. Inside the church, people were full of hate and anger. Harry listened for a bit, but didn't hear anything important, so he got ready to leave.
I'm a Catholic whore, currently enjoying Congress out of wedlock with my black Jewish boyfriend who works in a military abortion clinic. So hail Satan.
What he didn't know was that Valentine was watching everything. From behind a monitor, Valentine watched the chaos unfold. Just as Harry was about to leave, Valentine activated the chips. Everyone's phones let out a piercing noise, and Harry, along with everyone else, went insane, slaughtering each other wildly. After killing everyone, Harry regained consciousness, walked outside, and ran into Valentine. They had a calm but intense conversation.
It's a neurological wave that triggers the centers of aggression and switches off inhibitors.
Harry finally understood everything, but it was too late. Valentine shot him without hesitation. Eggsy saw it all through the monitor and was devastated. He went back to Kingsman to see Arthur, wanting him to stop Valentine's plan and avenge his mentor Harry. But to his shock, Arthur showed no sadness over Harry's death. Instead, he told Eggsy to sit next to him and poured him a drink. As Arthur poured the drink, Eggsy noticed something shocking. Arthur had the same scar on his neck. That meant Arthur was a traitor too. Eggsy drank the wine Arthur gave him. Then Arthur pulled out his pen and admitted he'd poisoned the drink. He could kill Eggsy anytime. Arthur then revealed Valentine's plan. Turns out Valentine wanted to use phones to make inferior people slaughter each other, reducing the world's population so resources would be more abundant. Arthur had already been marked as one of the superior ones. He told Eggsy all this because he wanted Eggsy to join them. But Eggsy refused. Arthur pressed the button on his pen to kill Eggsy, but nothing happened. Instead, Arthur felt a sharp pain in his chest. Eggsy admitted he'd spiked Arthur's drink too. He took Arthur's glasses right in front of him. Arthur never thought he'd be taken down by a kid. He died with resentment in his eyes. Eggsy took the control chip from Arthur's neck. Then Valentine's voice came through Arthur's phone, inviting him to an event. Eggsy realized this was his chance to stop Valentine. He found Merlin and Roxy, and the three planned their attack. Merlin's plan: Roxy would go to space in a private jet to destroy the satellite, while he and Eggsy would infiltrate the base. The mission kicked off. On the plane, Merlin gave Eggsy a box that Harry had prepared for him, filled with Kingsman gear. Once Eggsy put on the dress shoes and glasses, he finally became a full-fledged Kingsman agent. They used Arthur's invitation to get into the snowy mountain base. The place was packed with important people from around the world who were about to enter Valentine's new world order. Eggsy spotted an official using the internal network, snuck up on him, and knocked him out with a poison needle from his watch. Then he helped Merlin tap into the network. Meanwhile, Roxy had reached the right altitude in space. Just as she spotted the satellite, one of her balloons suddenly exploded. The other one wasn't going to last much longer either. Right before she lost control and crashed, she aimed at the satellite and fired a missile, successfully destroying it. Back on the ground, Eggsy was ambushed by Charlie, who put a knife to his neck. But Eggsy turned the tables and escaped fast. When the planned time came, Valentine activated the global signal, but the satellite was already gone. The system booted up, but did nothing. Eggsy thought the mission was over and got ready to leave. But Merlin gave him bad news. Valentine's neural network wasn't completely destroyed. He was borrowing another country's satellite. If he succeeded, global disaster would follow. Hearing that, Eggsy immediately asked for Merlin's gun, but Merlin said no. Instead, he took him to the plane's weapons room to pick out a real Kingsman agent's weapon. Eggsy chose an umbrella and headed back into the base. When Valentine found out Eggsy had returned, he sent more men after him. Eggsy could dodge most bullets, but he couldn't stop a sniper. He had to hide in a room, but outside was packed with enemies. Meanwhile, Merlin was also under missile threat. In the heat of the moment, Eggsy remembered Arthur's chip. Merlin hacked the chip system and set them all off. Every official who was about to enter Valentine's new world had their neck chip explode like fireworks, gone for good. But Valentine didn't have a chip in his own head. He connected to the satellite and activated the signal again. Eggsy heard Princess Tilda crying for help. She promised him a reward if he could free her from the cage. And then Valentine pressed the button, and the world went crazy. Eggsy took down Valentine, hitting the pause button on the chaos. But then Valentine's henchman, the blade-legged gazelle, showed up. The two fought. Eggsy seemed no match for her. She kept slicing everything he had in half with her moves. Finally, they both jumped into the air. Eggsy pulled a small blade from the toe of his shoe and stabbed Gazelle in the arm. One cut was all it took. The blade was poisoned. Eggsy grabbed Gazelle's blade leg and threw it straight into Valentine's heart, ending his evil plan once and for all. This Kingsman agent had saved the world. Then Eggsy went back to the prison cell door and asked Merlin to open it. The charming Princess Tilda was waiting there with a smile. On the plane, Merlin saw the intimate scene through the monitor and quickly shut off the camera. After all, they were gentlemen with class and taste.